In this video, we will be going over the lines of Book 6 of the Aeneid, 384 to 425. Remember that they have entered into the underworld. By they, I mean, of course, Aeneas and his guide, the Sibyl. And so now they are going to have to try and get past the boatman Charon and the guard of the underworld, which is, of course, Cerberus. Ergo, therefore, they drive their journey, the one having been begun and kept him as a perfect passive participle, and they approach the river, the fluvio. Many words river does Virgil, of course, use. Ut is then the first word that we go to here, and you look to see, do you have a indicative, or is it a subjunctive? You see it's indicative, and so as will be the translation. And as the boatman, the nawita, the sailor, spotted them. Eos could easily be a hikaikote form, hos, or a helelot form, elos. And as the boatman spotted that they, because it is the accusative subject of your infinitive verb ire, that they were going now from their ende, Stygia abunda, from the Stygian wave, through the silent forest, and as the boatman saw that they turned their foot to the bank, thus first, prior, he attacks, aggredior, gradi, gressusum, with words. Its deponent looks passive, translates actively, and he thunders on his own behalf. He says, quisquis es, quisquis, whoever es you are, who, armatus, having been armed, you who stretch to our rivers, to our flowings, flumina, drive on, speak from the verb fare, for, fari, fatus sum, which means to speak, and for a deponent verb, the imperative looks like a present active infinitive. If it existed for deponent verbs, there is no present active infinitive. Drive on, speak, why? Quid can often be the equivalency of a cur in poetry. Do you come now from there, meaning the upper world, and compress your step? In other words, stop, halt. This is the place, hic locus est, of the shadows, of sleep, and of soporific night, sleep-inducing night. It is divinely not right. Phos est implied would be divinely right. Nephos, it is divinely not right to carry living bodies, accusative, on the Stygian keel. Stygian means related to the river Styx, and this is synecdoche, part representing the whole. Not truly did I rejoice. Have I rejoiced that accusative I had received. You were starting off in the past, a perfect infinitive is going to go before that. Had I received Alcides. Now this is a patronymic. It's Hercules, but Hercules as named by his father. When you, or grandfather in this instance, when you add the suffix ides to the name of your father, that then becomes you. I would be Deiledes. And so, not truly did I rejoice that I and the accusative had received Hercules on the lake. Hercules euntem, going on the lake. From eo ire, eanes is the nominative present active participle, and then euntis, eunti, euntem, and so forth and so on. And that's what you have there. The one going, Alcides going on the lake. Nor did I rejoice that I received Theseus and Perithous. Although, geniti essent, they had, pluperfect subjunctive, been born from the gods, ablative origin, and they had been unconquered in their strengths. That guy, now he's first referring to Hercules, Alcides. He sought, he did seek the Tartarian guard with his hand into chains, and he drug the one trembling from the throne of the king himself. And so Hercules, went down to the underworld in order to be able to fetch services of his 12th and final labor. Continuing on, to the next page. These guys, referring of course to both Theseus and Perithous, who went down into the underworld in order to kidnap Proserpina. These guys having attacked. It is the verb deponent orior, oriri, or to sum. But it is a perfect passive looking participle. These guys having attacked to lead away the mistress of the underworld. Dis is the word for the underworld, another name. It is in many versions the actual capital city of the underworld, from the bedchamber. And so, the Emphrysian priestess, bard, the Wates, against these things, qui could easily be replaced with a hike, could be replaced with an ilah, or could be replaced with an ea, neuter, plural, accusative, object of contra. Against these things, the Frisian bard spoke, for farifatisum, briefly. Implies sunt. There are no such ambushes here. Such from talis tale, it answers the question qualis, which asks what sort of, such sort of. There are no such ambushes here. Absist, stop, and we would say desist, to be moved. In a construction like this, essentially what you're saying is stop being verbed. Stop being moved, calm down, but stop to be moved. The weapons, the tela, do not bring violence. It is permitted, it is allowed, and this is an impersonal verb, which means that your subject is going to be a verbal expression, either in the form of an infinitive, or as you see it here, in the form of a subjunctive terion. And you would imply as though there is an ut there with it. It is allowed that the huge doorkeeper, barking eternally from his cave, it is allowed that he, the doorkeeper, Cerberus, terrify the bloodless shadows. It is allowed that chaste Proserpina preserve, save the threshold of her uncle. Basically, she's saying, look, we're not down here to steal the dog. We're not down here to kidnap Proserpina. Trojan Aeneas, marked with piety and with weapons, descends to the lowest Emas shadows of Erebus, another name for the underworld, just like this is, Erebus is as well. It's a mountain of the underworld, to his father. If no image of such great piety, just looking at the man Aeneas does not move you, so if no image of such great piety moves you, but may you recognize agnoskos in the subjunctive, this branch. She appears. She opens up the branch, aperio aperiere, which was hiding in her clothing. And it's the branch which was doing the hiding, not which she was hiding. That would make the qui an accusative. It's not. It's a nominative. It's the branch which was doing the hiding. And then, tomb, his swollen hearts, they reside from their anger. He's not riled up anymore. And no more, plura, is, of course, comparative, meaning no more whereby words than these. Because of from in on that, than, if it is hanging around a comparative. In other words, she does not have to say anything more. As soon as she shows that branch, which is the all-access backstage pass, he is not angry anymore, and he's not obviously yelling at them anymore. That guy, referring obviously to Charon. Admiring the venerable gift, we had a discussion about the venerable Bede, who is an author and historian of the 7th century. He is all called the venerable, which means like honored one, holy one. So that guy, admiring the venerable gift of the fatal stick, fatal because it's the golden branch of the underworld. That gift, having been seen after a long time, he turns the cerulean poop deck, again another synecdoche, a type of metonymy in which a part of something represents the whole, and he approaches the riverbank. Inde. From there, thence would be the fancy English way of saying it. He scatters, he deturbates, we get the word disturbs, the other spirits, alias animas, which were sitting through the long benches. It's like waiting at a bus stop to get onto the boat. And he looses the gangways. Those would be the things, the ramps that are put down so that you can board a vessel. And at the same time, he receives huge Aeneas on the boat. So both Alwea and Kumba mean like the little boat that he drives around, but it's just a different word. Like we have so many different words for boat: skiff, boat, dinghy, John boat. You have a whole bunch of stuff. So he receives huge Aeneas on the boat. Huge because of zeugma several ways. Huge in his magnanimous spirit, but also huge in that he's physically actually fleshed instead of just a spirit. And the boat groaned. And it's the sewn together boat. And the reason why it is the stitched together boat is that there are several animal skins that are sewn on the outside of the hull to waterproof it. Under his weight, sub pondere, and leaky, in other words, filled with cracks. Remember that osus aum, when you put it on the end of something, it means filled with that. And in English, it turns into aus. So, for example, if I were to get a word, let's say fama, fama is reputation, famosus means filled with reputation. It's where we get the word famous. O-U-S is from that osus that is there. And filled with cracks, it received much swamp, as in swamp water. Palus pollutus. Tandim, at last. Well, there it is. And there we are. He placed out, pono ponere posui positus, so at last he placed out both the bard, that being the Sibyl, and the man, both of them safe and sound in Columes, across the river, in the formless mud, informi limo, and in the blue-gray sedge grass. You're not going to see those words very often, but that's what it means. Huge Cerberus fills with sound, personat, these kingdoms, a direct object of what he fills with sound, these kingdoms, with his tri-throated barking. Lactratu is the bark itself. Huge reclining, still both of those are modifying Cerberus. This is an adjective, that's a present active participle. Huge reclining in the facing cave, so right in front of them. And the bard, this is again the priestess. Seeing now that the necks for him, for whom, dative of possession, and kola is where we get the word collar. So the bard, seeing now that the neck shudders with snakes, his neck is always moving because those snakes are always writhing. So seeing that, the bard is going to abic it. And there it is. She throws down abic it, yake yakare, an afam, a little snack, a little dog biscuit. But it is a dog biscuit, soporific with honey and with medicated fruits. Remember, the soporific means sleep-inducing. And that guy, opening up his three gutara, his three throats, those throats rabid with hunger, he grabs up, koripuit, the thing having been thrown down. And he loosens, resolveo resolvere, his huge backs, we see that word just a second ago in Manasamane, having been poured out on the ground, and huge, he is stretched out in the whole cave. So it's as though he fills it, and he goes clump, and he is knocked out. Aeneas occupies the entrance, with the guard having been buried, and he evades. The quick one, he evades the bank of the wave of no return. And so he is going to be escaping out of the underworld to obviously go see his father. So that's it for that section.